Hello and welcome back to Sunny Isle. Today we're taking a closer look at one of the most overlooked parts of the game, taxis. We'll start by breaking down how taxis actually work in City Skylines 2, how they impact congestion and whether your city really needs them. Then we'll take a look at how we're using taxis here in Sunny Isle, where things are going wrong and what we can do to fix it. That includes redesigning our network to make taxis more efficient, adding taxi stands, and maybe even removing the dispatch center from our busiest depot. We'll also revisit district and city policies, especially that $50 minimum fare. Let's see if we can find a way to reduce the taxi chaos in our city. Welcome to Sunny Isle, aka Taxi Island. Taxis come in two types. First, you've got external taxis. These are the ones bringing in new residents, tourists, and commuters from outside the city. They're doing the long haul stuff. Then you've got local taxis. These are dispatched from your own taxi depots and mostly handle trips around the city, from A to B, filling in the gaps that buses or trams can't always cover. And that's where they shine. Taxis are ideal for what's called the last mile. Say someone gets off at a station or a ferry terminal and they still need to get to their final destination. That's where a taxi steps in. They're great for people with accessibility needs, those without cars, or folks carrying heavy loads. Back when I was at uni, I'd walk 45 minutes to the local supermarket with my friends, but we'd share a taxi home, cheaper than the bus and way easier with the shopping bags. So yes, they add to traffic, but they also serve a purpose, especially early in your city's development or in areas underserved by public transport. Now, how do they actually work in-game? Well, taxis require a taxi depot to function. And before you upgrade the depot with a dispatch center, taxis can only pick up passengers from taxi stands, which need to be placed manually around your city. These stands can be standalone or part of other transit buildings like the ferry terminal or bus station. Once the depot is upgraded with a dispatch center, taxis can pick up passengers from anywhere, making them more flexible but also harder to manage. That freedom comes at a cost. They can stop in awkward places and add to congestion. There's also a taxi minimum fare policy. In Sunny Isle, we've got this cranked up to $50. However, I'm not sure how effective it is. Taxis are still incredibly popular in the city. Right now, Sunny Isle is flooded with taxis. We've got loads of depots, each upgraded with extra garages and dispatch centres. That means hundreds of taxis on the road, stopping wherever they please, often right at busy intersections, which creates chaos. They're jamming up key transfer hubs with buses and trams and trains all trying to move through the same space. Now, when I first introduced taxis, I held off on upgrading to a dispatch centre because I liked the control of using taxi stands. But then a bug cropped up. Taxis would get stuck queuing at the stands and block traffic, which broke the whole system. The temporary fix? Give them the dispatch centre and let them pick up passengers from anywhere. And it worked. Until it didn't. Traffic's getting worse again, and since that bug is now patched, we can go back to using taxi stands, especially downtown, so we can better manage where taxis stop and help reduce congestion. Alright, now that we understand how taxis work and why they're misbehaving, let's put a plan in action. Step 1 will be to remove the dispatch center upgrade from one of the taxi depots. We should start with one closest to our busy transport hub. This will limit the taxis to only pick up passengers from the taxi stands and help funnel activity to more predictable, less disruptive locations. So let's take a quick look at the city as a whole. And the problem area is down here, and we've got a couple of taxi depots. We've got one down here, which is in the New Bridge area, and then we've got another taxi depot down here, which is near our little custom busy intersection. And I think this is the one that we're going to have a look at experimenting with today, downgrading it to not include the dispatch center anymore. If we have a closer look at this taxi depot, a while ago, I think this was probably in between episodes, I had an issue where we just had people waiting everywhere for taxis, and I was kind of just fed up of it, sick of it. So I added a lot, and when I say a lot of garages. Look at how many taxis we've got going on here. I can't believe it. So garage extensions, what that's about 1, 2, 3, 11 garage extensions, giving us a total of 135 taxis, which by no surprise are all in use. They're all dispatched. So if we come back down to the bottom here and we find our upgrades, we've got the extension here, which is the dispatch center. Let's go ahead and deactivate that for now. Alternatively, we could delete it. Actually, let's go ahead and delete it, since this will cost us even less money to maintain them. And that doesn't change anything visually. It just stops taxis from being able to pick up people from anywhere they like. And while this won't solve anything immediately, it sets the foundation for restoring order. Next, we'll install new taxi stands in strategic locations. That includes outside the train station, maybe a couple near the ferry terminal, and a few scattered around key commercial areas, especially in this part of town where we've got all this traffic coming and going. You can see we've still got quite a lot of major traffic issues. So I think we could probably put a taxi stand here. We've got enough room to have a few vehicles parked up, but we might want to add just more than one. I think maybe we could add one up here, another one here, and kind of just cover all our bases within this busy area of town, and ensuring that we've got different access points for vehicles to come through, just so that we're not funneling them all the way through here. I'll also be making some minor adjustments to this intersection that we worked on in the last episode. Where we're using these taxi bus lanes, I want to reduce the length so that they don't go all the way up to the junction. When using these taxi bus roads, I find that it's actually more beneficial to stop the paintwork just before the intersection, as these roads do allow regular vehicles to use them. You can see we've got a few coming through here. They allow regular vehicles if they are turning left or turning right. So by shortening them, you're creating kind of like a hidden node, so that the only option for vehicles is to go straight on when they're within the bus lane. And you can kind of trick the cars into thinking there's no access for them. Whereas at the moment we do have a few personal vehicles coming through, and I imagine if we have a look at the traffic route, yes, they're turning left. So just by shortening this by a few meters or a few yards, they'll come up to a hidden node here at the end of the bus road, and then they'll think the only option is to go straight on. And because of the rules of the road, they're not allowed to go straight on, so they won't even bother using this road. So we'll have a look at that and we'll improve that. And as you can see, all that work that we did last episode, and it's still traffic chaos. Let's go ahead and make those changes and jump into a speed build, and I'll talk you through what my thoughts are. By using a ghost node, we can upgrade different parts of a length of road, allowing us to have little inlets for the bus and the taxis while having regular width streets near the intersections. Let's not forget to clean up our prop work, as these are now in the middle of the road and they would be a disaster if left as they were. On the other side, we're going to have something of a similar fashion. We'll have the taxi stop on the opposite side. We'll make it a little bit shorter, and again we'll also have to remove these bollards or move them out the way at least. And since we've lost some of the red paint, let's go through with some of our custom surfaces and bring that tactile texture all the way through here, and make sure that we don't have any of that pesky street parking through here. Let's continue working on these surfaces, as the junction has changed and I did inadvertently remove the surface, so who hasn't done that? Let's put that back in again, making sure we got a nice tactile surface. Okay, let's have a quick recap of what we've done. And yes, I did have to redraw the surface. It was a pain in the neck, but it's done now and mistakes happen. And we can already see that taxis are lining up, waiting for people to come through. We've got 3 taxis waiting on this side of the intersection, and we've got 3 taxis waiting on this side. And so these will wait here until somebody requests a taxi in the area. I'm not entirely sure how long it takes. We do have some depots in the city that are allowing for wireless dispatch, so they can collect people from anywhere. And I'm not entirely sure how this will affect this crew, whether they will not get any passengers. But what we can do is maybe just sit here, turn the speed up and wait and see. Okay, so it doesn't look like we've got anybody taking our taxis just yet, but it might just be the fact that we need to allow the pathfinding to update, as we made quite a lot of changes in this area. Another issue may be our policy. So in the last episode, somebody commented saying that the gated community may be restricting people entering the city, since we have the ferry terminal, we have the train station, and the gated community only allows people living or working within the district to enter. And I hadn't considered pedestrians as a part of that equation, but it could factor in that. I was thinking about the old town policy from the City Skylines 1. So we're going to turn this off. We will keep heavy traffic ban and speed bumps, and we'll see how we do without the gated community. However, I'm not 100% sure how that policy works, but for now, let's just keep it off, and maybe that should resolve things. But overall, I am seeing a big reduction of vehicles coming through this area. We do have quite a lot of people using it right now, but I'm happy to say there's some improvement. I think we are looking at rush hour, so this is the worst it's going to get. Okay, I started putting some extra taxi stands through the city, and I've just stumbled across what is a little bit of a taxi Armageddon down by the ferry terminal. It looks like we've got a whole queue of taxis waiting to come to this taxi stand upgrade that comes with the building, and it is causing backups all the way out to the road. It's blocking buses, it's blocking cargo vehicles, emergency services, so it's no good. And I think what we could do, because I'm not entirely sure how we could control the taxi traffic through here, but what we could do is maybe add a few extra taxi stands through here, kind of spread out where they can wait, where people can pick them up, and holy moly, we've got a flying taxi. Wherever you come from, let's pause the game. So you're heading somewhere over there. Okay, that's crazy. Oh, I didn't realize we've got a taxi depot here as well. Okay, let's just make those updates, shall we? Okay, so made those slight adjustments through here. I added a road with a medium so that any vehicles wanting to enter the harbour now do need to drive up to the end. I know it's a little bit longer, it's a little bit out of the way, and it's not great for the buses, but it does appear that some of them are taking a little bit of shortcut down here, which is fine. And I've gone ahead and added those additional taxi stands, and it does appear to have resolved the issue for now. We've actually got people waiting and using this one, so I imagine this taxi is going to collect this passenger now. Yeah, there we go. So that one's working, and then we also have the integrated taxi stand, which will also collect some people. And our buses will finally be able to collect everybody there that's waiting at the bus stop, and also unbunch, and we could possibly even have a few less buses on there. I did notice that we've got some traffic lights here which are no longer necessary, so we'll just turn that off. And then we've got free flowing traffic. I added another taxi stand here, but I've not seen anybody using it yet. These ones down here seem to be popular enough, but let's hope that works out. And I just wanted to have a quick look at this taxi depot down here, and I wonder whether it's worth doing something similar here, because I did the same thing where I kind of jammed in a whole bunch of extra garages just overlapping each other. So we do have a whole bunch of taxis in here. So I'm going to go down and let's delete the dispatch center and see how that works out in the city. Anyway, I'm going to continue and add more taxi stops or taxi stands through the city, because we don't have that many at the moment. I want as many different places, opportunities for people to be able to get one. In a typical city, taxis should be able to collect passengers from both taxi stands and anywhere where they could be called out. But in our city, we're going to concentrate only on taxi stands, and only time will tell whether this will fix our traffic issues. It's a little bit of an experiment, and I appreciate you coming along for the ride. Sometimes I'm placing taxi stands on both sides of the road so that there is easy access for vehicles coming in both directions. These are usually in more busy areas near train stations or tram stops. Okay, so here's an overview of all the new taxi stands in the area. I did struggle a little bit to put more in the warehouse district, just because I didn't want to place any of these on alley roads, because it could block traffic, especially if they're waiting there and a vehicle needs to get past. They're better used on regular streets where you can create a waiting bay. So if we have a quick look down here, we've got a few taxis waiting here, and you can see it creates a cutout so it doesn't impede the traffic coming through here. And it does appear that we've got quite a few taxis waiting for customers already. So yeah, I've got some down by the school here, I've got all around this intersection here, and then I also placed an extra one down by the train station, and then a few up here where we've got these city services. So hopefully that will help. However, it doesn't look like it. We've still got very severe traffic. And we've still got these personal vehicles coming through, which I don't understand, because they shouldn't be able to enter into this lane here, since it is a bus taxi lane. So very, very frustrating. Let's have a look at what is blocking this traffic. So we've got this bus here. Well, we've just got all these buses. I wonder whether once these buses clear out, this whole intersection will work a little bit better. Where are you heading? Oh, you're turning down there. You're not allowed to turn down there. They're not supposed to be turning down there. So let's Go into road upgrades. Let's turn off right turns here. I think that's the right one there. And I did want to actually have a look at maybe upgrading this into just a regular two-way street. Yeah, I think we'll do that. And let's have a look to see if that fixes anything. Like I said, people shouldn't really be turning up that road. And I've just noticed that we've got a very wonky road here, so I'm just going to go ahead and fix that while the traffic is sorting itself out. And we'll go into manipulation mode. Okay, I think that was just a minor bug in the system. I'm going to let this intersection just go for a little bit and see if that resolves some of the issues. I'm already starting to see some issues already. So where we create this little ghost node, I can see a lot of people try to do U-turns. So I'm going to jump into traffic. Let's go into lane connector tool and select this and remove U-turns. And we'll do that anywhere where we've created these ghost nodes, these invisible nodes. And I think that has resolved those issues. Okay, now let's have another go at speeding this up and have a look, see if it sorts itself out. Okay, do you know what? I think it is working. The only issue I'm seeing is we are still getting taxis like this one here, collecting people using the dispatch center, and they're likely coming from a taxi depot a little bit further out of town. So we might want to revisit some of those and turn off the dispatch center, but that does mean that we'll have to put taxi stands all over the city to make sure that everybody has plenty of coverage. We're going to put taxi stands everywhere. You can see this area of Reuben pretty much has nothing, and we're going to completely eradicate the dispatch center in this part of the map. At least I'm quite happy to keep it out of town in the more rural areas, but let's fix this town so that we don't get any more congestion and no more taxi madness. So in a similar fashion to the other area, we'll place these at key parts of the road network, making sure that they're not in the way, they're easy to access, and there's plenty of space for taxis to queue up. At the taxi depot, we're going to turn off the dispatch center, and we're going to go ahead and add the electric vehicles upgrade as well. Okay, so we've got all the taxi stands in place now, and I tried to spread these out as evenly as possible, making sure that we were hitting some of the more denser areas. But there are areas of the town which don't really accommodate the taxis very well, because these do specifically need to be on a regular kind of street like this, where you can have a dedicated bay. Simply just because the taxis will queue up and wait, and if you put them on an alleyway, they will wait, but they will also block all the traffic on the road. So it's always better to create a dedicated bay like this. It's not super dense in this part of town, so I don't mind only having a few here, but near the college, the town hall, and this little cultural area, I tried to sneak in a few extra ones. So we've got one just at the side of this plaza here, so we could have people queuing up at the side, and then we've got another one down by this city hall, and we do have quite a few people waiting for these already. We've got somebody there maybe with 2 or 3 dogs. Yeah, we've got one outside this hotel, which I think is quite nice, because I imagine you will get tourists using taxis more than anything. And then again, it was quite difficult making sure that we had enough space to actually have a few taxis waiting and also allowing the traffic to be able to flow through. But this seems to be working out. And I went ahead and added the electric taxis to all our depots. I'm not sure if taxis have to go back to the depot to recharge, whether they have a shorter route than regular taxis, but electric taxis do help reduce noise pollution, air pollution, so they're always useful to have, so it's nice to have that upgrade through here. And we did not assign any districts to these taxis. They can roam the whole map, but these taxis can only use the taxi stands because they have no access to the dispatch center. Whereas the taxis that we're using down here near the port of Switch On and Clipstrand, I did set the districts simply just because I wanted the taxis in this area to stay in this area, and we do have the dispatch center attached to those, so they don't necessarily need to wait at taxi stands. They can move around, but it won't worry me if we do get some of the taxis coming from the main town and waiting at taxi stands down here. We have way more taxis working up at the main city than we do anywhere else, so if they want to spread out, that's fair enough, that's fine by me. But I think it is making a difference with traffic. I am seeing less traffic on the road, less build up, simply because the taxis are no longer just stopping in the middle of the street and waiting for passengers to get on board. And that would cause a lot of backups, especially when we're using mostly single lane or 2-lane roads through here. There's no way to overtake them. So I think it is working. But we're also still seeing that the streets are nice and busy. As I was a little bit worried that we might lose the amount of traffic we've got going through the city, as I do want to see lots of vehicles moving about. If we have a look at our troubled area down here, we've got a little bit of congestion, not too bad. It's looking good. I didn't want to completely remove traffic from this area. I don't want it to be a ghost town, and the fact that people are queuing up I think is a good thing, because at least it shows that this route is a slower route for vehicles and people should choose an alternative route round. We just didn't want to have the major backups that just crippled the whole city. But this is one of the issues that we've got going through here, is this cargo train. This cargo train always seems to move super slowly through here. I think it's because it's turning left and then turning right. So I think eventually I do want to shut down this cargo line that takes you all the way down to the port, and we'll move the cargo line out here, running along the edge of the city, and then maybe connect it up to the industrial area at the back here, almost parallel to the road, coming along here, and it will create this space in between this busy road and the new rail line. And I think this will be a really good spot to place down a supermarket, an out of town retail area, and then maybe at the back in the future we can develop that into a new neighborhood. So yeah, let's start putting down the foundations of a new supermarket and retail area. Let's start by running a road parallel to the relief road and then connect it up with some distance between the main intersection and the entrance to our new shopping area. I'm using the supermarket asset from the UK asset pack. However, I want to customize the car park, so I'm using the Better Bulldozer mod to remove some of the sub-elements, and then I'm using alleys and parking roads just to draw over the top of where we had those parking spaces. At the back of this lot, I want to create a pedestrian thoroughfare and place some of these large box retail units. I'm using two different types, which are both 5x5. One is a nice corner piece and the other two go together quite nicely. As we build up the surrounding roads, we can create some space for industrial units hidden away at the back. To create a little bit more of an area of interest, we can go ahead and use one of these pocket parks surrounded by a pedestrian road. And let's see if we can find a nice little cafe spot to place on this corner. I think that's quite nice. Let's finish up by adding some of the additional roads through here. And I think this little corner here is perfect for a petrol station. To the south of the retail area, let's extend this parallel road and let's start to make some small connections so that we can have an alternative entrance and exit to this area. This is a minor connection as it only connects to one side of the road. Let's go ahead and start to establish this rail line through here. Although this will just be a placeholder, I want to spend an episode building out a new cargo rail network in the future, one that goes through the island rather than around the island. So we'll put this in place just so that we know where the limit of our build area is today. Besides this farm, we can place a little bit of parking, as I don't imagine the retail park would appreciate the workers using their car parking spaces. And then let's surround this farm with some of our signature hedgerows, which include lovely wild bushes and palm trees. In fact, let's go all the way around this retail area and bushify everything up. At the back, I think this is a pretty good spot to add a little telecom tower with a few of the upgrades to help extend its reach. And for the supermarket car park, I'm going to go ahead and use some of these solar carports just to create a more comfortable experience for those coming into the supermarket. It provides a little bit of shade and it also provides some green energy for what is quite a large building. And for the remainder of the car park, we can place down a variety of bushes. Boom, game crash, and I lost a lot of progress. So what I had to do is I had to jump back into the save game, the latest one I could find. And that was after we placed down all the taxi stands. All of this had disappeared, so I had to go back through and rebuild it off camera. So I hope you don't mind. There might be quite a few missing details from the speed build section of the video, but I do think that the end result is much better. I was able to spend some time, add so many more little details through here. So if we take a closer look, we've got the main supermarket, Morris's here. And as you can see, I've updated the texture, the ground texture, to use this custom elongated tile, which is really nice. And we've continued that texture through the whole build. We also have this taxi stand out front, which looks to be quite popular. It's being used. And yeah, this is the cornerstone of the retail park. It's a fantastic addition to the city. And then, as you saw, I did edit the original asset, so we removed the asset parking and we added our own parking and then extended that out all the way across this whole area. And because we're using our own car parking roads, people will use them regardless to what establishment they'll be visiting, whereas the car parks that are included in assets are usually only used by people using that asset, which as you've often seen in the game leads to empty car parks. So at least now we'll see these being used. And yeah, this is the little shopping area that we've got at the side here, and I've continued that custom surface through here just to harmonize the whole area. Added one of these little pocket parks for people to sit down and relax. Got a nice little coffee shop, grab something to eat, grab a little snack before you do your big shop. And then we've got a few of these large big box retailers, and these are really nice assets. I think these are just simply the vanilla assets. And then we've got this nice corner piece here. I really like this corner canopy as you come in. I think the front of the asset is actually on this side with the taxi. We've got another taxi stand here. So we do have some vehicles coming in and loading through the side garage here, but it's a small detail I can overlook. And yeah, when you add it all together with the car parking, with the supermarket, with a little bit of warehouse industry at the back, yeah, it looks really nice. It looks like a complete piece. And I even placed down, I think, one of the last unique buildings, unique petrol station buildings that we've got available to us, because we've placed down all the other ones. And this is really nice. You've got a car in there getting a car wash. People can come in, and I extended it out a little bit using one of these prop petrol station signs so that people can see maybe from the road over here what prices are, or at least they know there's somewhere to get some petrol. And then yeah, I just filled out the rest of this with a farmer's field, which is more of a placeholder. I think we can come back through here in the future and develop it. And we've got a couple of these little industrial assets here, along with a little bit of office. And it really fills the area quite nicely, especially what might be quite an undesirable area between this busy road and what will be the future cargo rail line. And it's not very pedestrian friendly, so I went ahead and added this pedestrian bridge, which I don't think was included in the video, and we're seeing a lot of use. It's very, very popular, and the reason why I think it's so popular is because it's one of the most obvious paths through here. So it takes you right up to the shopping centre, and it takes you right into the heart of the city. So I considered connecting up through here, but this is mostly low density residential, and we do have the crossing down here that we built in the last episode where people can zigzag across the road and walk around. There is a little bit of a barrier, but over here where we've got the train station, we've got a lot of density, we've got the school, we've got this nice gentle slope up to the bridge, bypass all this traffic, and then into the retail area, and I think that's really nice. And yeah, we've got a lot of traffic on this road, a lot of people wanting to come in and visit the shopping area. It seems to be they're all turning right, so I think that might be temporary. We'll have to wait and see, or we might have to add another entrance somewhere, because the only other entrance we've got at the moment is this one, which is only accessible from one side of the relief road, so you can come on and you can come off. And I've just noticed that we've got another case of tree anarchy coming to haunt us again, so we'll just remove these. There we go. So yeah, we probably need to add another entrance in the future here, and we do have this little stub here, which is Victoria Lane, which I think we could connect into in the future if we purchase this field for some city development. But yeah, it looks good. And then I think in the future at the back we can start to put in some more residential, or maybe even some more industry, depending on what the city needs at the time. But yeah, pretty happy with that. And if we have a quick look at our area of town, I can't see any traffic. It's looking really good. Everybody's well behaved. Just having a quick look at the traffic route through here, and yeah, it does appear that everybody is heading towards either the retail park or maybe a few of these jobs through here. So before we go, let me just see if we can make some upgrades. I see we've got some traffic lights here which are not necessary, so we'll remove those, and that should hopefully help with the flow of things a little bit better. I don't think the issue is here. We've got no backups, we've got plenty of space, and people seem to be getting through okay. I think the main issue is down here where we're not getting enough people being able to turn. So yeah, we'll have to have a look at adding a new city entrance in the future. And I think one of the issues might actually be that the fact that we've got the little alleyway here, and it creates this tiny little short segment, so people think that they're blocking traffic. So I think if we could sever this alleyway, that should solve a lot of issues. So let's find the alleyway road. Let's turn on some of our snapping tools, making sure that we don't remove anything. Let's double click here. We do lose a building, so let me just pause it for now. Let's delete this segment of road. Let's upgrade this to a two-way alley road. And let's see if we can bring that industrial building back. I don't think we will. So let's just rezone it like this. And then they've got a new building to move into. And I think that should help with the short section of road that we had here, and more people should be able to get through. I do want to add a pedestrian path so that people can walk from this road into the alleyway if they need to. And I'm using this custom asphalt pedestrian path, which is from the road builder workshop, just so that when you're connecting it up to an alleyway, it doesn't have like that weird lip that you sometimes see with regular pedestrian paths. And I can just quickly show you what that looks like. So if we just grab a regular pedestrian path and put that in here as well, and we can compare them side by side. So we have a closer look at this. You can see where the path connects to the road. It's nice and flat, but if you turn this around, you get a view into the void. So I'm using these custom paths. It does create an odd connection sometimes to regular roads, but not as bad as what this is. So let's remove that for now. And I think that should fix our issues. We've got a little bit of U-turn in here, so we can go into traffic, lane connectors, and we'll turn off U-turns. And that should resolve traffic. And if we just turn this up to speed 3, we should see that resolve. Okay, great. Yeah, that's completely fixed everything now. And we've got a little bit of busyness, congestion on the side streets, but that's not much of a problem. As long as the main thoroughfare is resolved, I'm happy with that. And we're seeing plenty of use through here. A few cars parked up. We can see a few taxis with their crazy glowing windscreens, which I hope they sort out in the future. And wow, look at how many people we've got waiting for taxis. That tells me that we might actually need to build more taxi depots in the city. What do you think? We've already got around about, I think, 500 or 600 taxis on the road. Maybe we just need another 500 or 600. This city's been through a lot over the past couple of episodes. Adjusting to the latest version of the game has really put Sunny Isle to the test. With some experimenting and maybe just a little bit of patience, we've made some real progress. By scaling back the dispatch centres, adding dedicated taxi stands, and tightening up a few junctions, we've taken a solid step towards taming the chaos. The roads are still busy, but they're flowing, and it's starting to feel like a real functioning city again. Not perfect, but it breathes, it moves, it works. It's also been nice to finally develop that stretch between the relief road and the future cargo rail line. The supermarket build pulls things together nicely, and that pedestrian bridge might be one of the most practical things I've added in a while. Now tell me, are taxis a part of your transport plan? And how do you manage them? Let me know. As always, thanks for watching, take care, goodbye.